Welcome everyone, it's Michael DeHaan from Care to Grow, and I've got Shelly Yorgesen with me. How are you, Shelly?
I'm good. Hello, everyone. So good to be here with you.
And Shelly's all the way from the US, so making time out of your day to, I suppose, share your knowledge and your storytelling about women's empowerment, so thank you.
You're sure welcome.
And Shelly's,
Hope we can help some good people here.
I'm sure it will. I know you've got some amazing stories, and the series is all about women's empowerment. It's around using your voice and visibility, and I wanted to, I suppose, share my connection with Shelly. So I've known Shelly for well over a year now, and she's a co-founder of the Executive Networking Events, and it's a global sort of community that really supports business owners to grow. And the difference being that I've been to a lot of networking groups, and the difference that I want to share with people is that you bring in such authentic traits into what you're building, and you can see the success of your business growing. And there are things like the vulnerability, generosity, collaboration, empathy, and you create this sort of safe environment for business owners to get together, tell their truth, speak about what's going on, and then collaboratively having people supporting them and making a difference in their business. So it's a massive difference, and I love what you're doing, and it's really creating that change.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure having you in the group and seeing people's businesses grow. That I always tell everyone that's better than dessert to me. When people have success, when they have success with each other and good things happen just because they met. And if I got to help with that meeting, that's better than dessert, even chocolate.
I do have a sweet tooth actually, so. So I thought before we get started on this Women's Empowerment series, how you've used your voice and visibility, it'd just be really great to get to know you, get to know a bit of your history. So would you be able to sort of share some of your background before we start the questions about how you've run your business?
Oh, sure. I'd love to. So like Michael mentioned, I'm from Idaho, USA, Idaho Falls, USA. If you've ever been to the US and you've ever heard of Yellowstone National Park, I'm just about 2 hours from that.
Wow.
So mother of 5 and grandmother of 5. Absolutely love my role in my family. Didn't intend necessarily to be a global business owner, but you know, when you stumble into something that really finds you and you know that that's your path, and I'll share a little bit about that in a minute, like how what I'm doing now found me. It was a very personal journey. So, but long story short, I've had 4 companies now, possibly 5. I lost count. Very different industries. I actually have an arena outside. So at one point we had a horseback riding school. Wow. And actually did a lot of shipping of produce, started with potatoes since we're from Idaho, right? Fundraising company there. And it all really started because we built our dream home. And I went, wait, 30 years of this? We have to pay on this thing for 30 years. And my husband was the only one working at the time. We had 5 and our youngest was about 4 years old. And I thought, man, I don't know if we can live this on this tight of a budget for that long. I need to help. Yeah, so I went into the workforce. And then while I was working for actually Alaska Airlines, I started my first business. And then my second, and then here we are a few later talking to the famous Michael DeHaan here online. So it's a big, beautiful journey that I'm grateful for.
No, thank you for sharing that. And I suppose I want to reflect back. I talked about how you really lead in an authentic way and sort of build that trust and in a sort of a networking environment that's, I'm going to say, not normal. It's very much around, you know, I've got to leave here with so many referrals. It's very driven by what's in it for me, which you create that change. So I don't know, have you always been led by your sort of authentic self, your true self, which I know you're doing now?
Yeah, you know, I think thankfully our authentic self grows with us a little bit. You know, I think I grew up in the ag industry. I was on a farm. My parents had about 600 acres. You have acres in Australia?
We do. Yeah.
They are called acres?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as 600, almost 700 acres of alfalfa. And so my parents were obviously very much entrepreneurs themselves. But being raised in ag and then turning into an athlete as I got a little bit older into high school and such, those are very competitive industries. And so this idea of abundance, or that there's enough in the world for everyone to win, I didn't grow up that way, Michael. I really have had to learn it, because it wasn't that my parents didn't believe that. It's just that the industries that I was in athletics, someone wins, someone loses. Like, I'm going to knock them down, but I'm certainly going to help them back up. But I'm going to try and win this game, right?
Yeah.
And then, on the basketball court or on the softball field, whatever it was, I was highly competitive. And then in the ag industry, we transitioned from alfalfa to milking cows. We had a dairy. So in the dairy industry, if the dairymen are making money, then usually the corn people, the farmers, are not, right? It's very cyclical.
Yeah.
So coming into the world that I live in now, I entered this world with more of a scarcity mindset than I had maybe 10 years ago, because number one, I needed money. I needed to earn money to help our family, right? So that puts some scarcity in your heart. Number two, I came from that competitive background, right? So now throw me in a room full of executives that are there to help each other, there to serve each other, and help everybody's business rise, right? We have a saying that says, a rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that at first, but then I started living it, and I started seeing it happen, and I started seeing, business owners helping one another. And pretty soon all of those boats were rising on the tide. And I was like, wait a second, I like this better. And so I had to grow into it. Number one, I started making money, right? And then the scarcity started to leave. Number two, I saw what collaboration did for these incredible people, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So that's where my shift came. Yeah.
It's interesting that you share, I suppose, that scarcity mindset, which I see so often in business, or that not enough. And when you were growing up, your parents were entrepreneurial. But again, there's that sort of scarcity potentially, because having that mindset. So to sort of change that around to have that abundance mindset. So was there anything else that you did in that time, either reading self-help books, courses? Was there any other support in regard to that?
Yeah, so I kind of hated self-help for a long time until I outgrew what I knew.
Yeah.
Until I got into a room where I was super outclassed. There was so much more knowledge, so much more wealth, so much more opportunity than me. Then I decided, wow, I got to catch up a little bit here, right? Yeah. But I think it ebb and flows, especially for women who, like me, choose to raise our families, right? So I have 5 little kids. I went straight from college into motherhood, and truthfully didn't even get to graduate from college. We had 2 kids, and we're 3rd on the way by the time my husband graduated with his chemical engineering degree. And we went, well, I guess that's it for a minute. And I didn't finish. And so as I, grew into this new role, I really felt outclassed. And I still feel it just a little bit, because here I am, I'm leading leaders, I'm leading executives from all around the globe. And Shelly doesn't have a degree. Like, that's crazy. And so there was a lot of growth I had to do. And so, I love the way you say that you do it authentically and all of that. I tried to do it someone else's way first.
Yeah.
And what I found was, I started feeling it in my chest. I started feeling pressure in my head. And I'm like, what's wrong here? And I realized that I was trying to be a pretender. I was trying to be, lead it the way someone else might. And so finally, I just had to drop all those cards and went, you know what? If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to build a multi-million-dollar company, that has a global brand and services people globally, I've got to do it a way that's mine.
Yeah.
That's Shelly, like 100%. And people will either like it or not. And that's okay, because we found a lot of people that like it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so empowering, I think, when you share with that to be your true self, and people mightn't resonate with it, or they might, but it's their issue, it's not yours. You're being true
Yeah.
to yourself. So that's a
Mhm.
very empowering message. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. I hope it helps someone. If I can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. And even the fact that you probably with the university degrees, whatever, you've just got a natural ability to connect people.
Oh,
and,
thank you.
and and you don't need a university degree to do that,
No,
as,
you
as
don't.
you've worked out.
That's right. Right. You can hire all the other people to do all the other stuff.
But what I've seen with you is that, as I said, you'll come into a room and you'll have a presence, you'll have that voice, that visibility, which shines through. And for young women, that's sort of either in the corporate world where they're going into a boardroom or dealing with the executives, and they can, I suppose, shy away or feel like they might be judged. I think you shared you went in that room and you felt overwhelmed that there were people better in that room, and whether that's true or not. So what sort of advice would you give those young women in regard to either trusting themselves or speaking up?
Yeah, let me speak to that, because there's a lot of that that you can correct instantly. And it's a lot the way that you carry yourself. So the ways that you can carry yourself that exhibit confidence, even if you're falling apart inside. One of them is just the way you walk. If you walk into a room with confidence, like you're a model on a runway, and you know how they are just, you know, strutting out and everything. If you walk into any room like that with your head up, with your eyes on the leaders in the room, like that instantly magnetizes you. It just sets you apart. If you walk in on your phone or looking down or looking straight at your chair in any way, like all of those are indicators of a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I grew up doing that really helped me. One of them was, I'm mostly an athlete. I am not a pageant girl in any means, but my friends talked me into doing a pageant when I was a junior in high school, and it was called Junior Miss. Do you guys have Junior Miss in Australia?
I'm going to say no, but I don't know enough about it, to be honest.
So, so it's so funny because you'll laugh. All your viewers will laugh at this. So my friends talked me into this, and someone heard that I won, and they said, "Have you seen her walk?" And it was because I'd only ever worn tennis shoes. I'd only been on the basketball court,
Yeah.
and so I had to relearn how to walk. Like I walked like an athlete, like a basketball player, right?
Yeah.
So you put your heels on, you look up, you stand up straight, and you walk in like you own the place, whether or not you do or not, because pretty soon you will. Pretty soon you will.
Yeah. Wow.
And pretty soon you'll be leading the meetings in that room just because of the presence that you exude from it. Now, do you act proud and haughty? No, you're still a humble servant. But the thing that will set you apart from anyone else in the room is how well you serve. So the reason that I'm in the position I am is because I walked into a room, a networking organization that I was building here. We started with 0 members, and the idea was a membership, right? $250 a month for business owners like Michael to come to participate in this local event. Well, I started as the girl checking in people, like taking names, taking, okay, who are you? Oh, let me fill your water. That was me at the beginning. Okay. Next thing I did was notice how, I thought I could do way better at the microphone than the person leading it. So finally talked my way into getting my hands on the microphone, started being the MC, then became the executive director, and then eventually president of that company. And was in that company for 10 years before I went, you know what? This is my skill set. I love bringing cool people together, helping them connect and collaborate and talk about their businesses. I want to do this globally. But it was all a process.
Yeah.
It first starts with the way you walk into the room. And then when you sit down at your chair, how do you sit? Are you sitting back and slunching, crossing your legs and uninvolved? Heck no. You are off the edge of your chair. You're taking notes, you're looking, you're engaging in conversation. And don't be afraid to answer questions and share your opinion. I'm often surprised when I'm in a room with people that are that outdo me in every category, and I give my thoughts, and they are thoughts that they had never thought of.
Yes.
And to me, it was so obvious what the problem was. And so don't ever be afraid to give your opinion from your point of view and from your experience, because us as women, we have a lot of this intuition. We have a lot of empathy and a lot of understanding that if you're in a room that's highly male dominated, they're missing that. Yes. So don't think like them. Think like you, and confidently present your thoughts in that situation.
Wow. No, I think you're spot on there in regard to, one, how you walk into the room, how you hold yourself. So they're more than likely going to listen to you because you're present and you're confident.
Oh, yeah.
So the words that you speak there, they will give you the time. Because again, you what you said before around how women look at particular situations there's just, it's a different way of looking at it, and there's just so much value in it.
Oh, and you think, oh, that's so silly. I'm not gonna bring up that idea. That's so silly. And then you say it, and it becomes policy, or it becomes a new marketing idea. It becomes, and you're like, oh, that just came from nowhere. I don't know where that came from. So yeah, always contribute and go with that feeling. Yeah. We have this innate feeling that comes inside of us. And when you listen, you will not fail. If you listen to that prompting, that feeling that comes from your heart, I believe that we're given that as women. I believe in God, and I do believe a lot of that comes from Him. And when those ideas come, I always share. And if I do, sometimes it gets me in hot water, but there's always a reason for the hot water.
Well, hot water creates change, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's a boiling frog.
That's right. Exactly.
Good work. And I'm just going to give you a bit of a plug for that, for your as I said, the E&E network, because it has created change. It's even created direction for me as a business owner. So grateful for that. And I will put it out there that women in particular looking at their ideas and challenging their ideas in an environment that's safe, and that they will actually look at it and give you honest advice. But it comes from a caring space. So, by all means, connect with Shelly, because it is so valuable. It is different. I haven't seen anything like it in Australia. So I love what you're doing there, and you've got quite a number of Australian businesses.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on down there.
We're taking over. But thank you for your time, and like some of the things you shared are just so inspiring, and people will watch this and actually take away some of their own nuggets in regard to how they sort of show up. So very grateful for around the storytelling side of it and what you've created for the series. So
yeah, do you mind if I end with a nice little story to help?
Oh, I'd love it.
To help these. So this is where it kind of all started. About 4 years ago, I love to garden and be in my yard barefoot on a weekend. That's my favorite place. And I was out there working one day and planting flowers, and I had one of those feelings come to me that said, and I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do next. And I kind of discovered the online space, and I thought, is there a product for me that I could create to serve the world? I don't know what that is, right? And so as I was working, I think I had the wheelbarrow and I was pushing it, and this thought came: you are your next product. And I had no idea what that meant at that point. At that point, I was, heavily involved in growing the membership locally as a contracted, person for the local events.
Yeah.
I was also running a potato company. I had started here and literally started by selling potatoes along the side of the street, and then grew that into a couple farmers markets, and then grew that into a fundraising company that we ended up raising about $1 million for schools and clubs.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
but then if you fast forward from that moment, about 4 years later, I rented a castle in Northern Ireland and filled it with executives from 8 countries, and hosted an event in the presence of royalty and fancy people. We wrote a book together. Mick's in this book. You'll have to get this book and read his little spot in this book. But that now has become a best-selling, a book in Australia first. And then opened a nonprofit where we're serving, the world with Christmas. Like, all things start with a small idea. Remember, I was barefoot out there on the grass, pushing that wheelbarrow. Your next product is you. And now what in the world? I rented a castle, written 2 books, and have a global company. Like, just go. Your job is to breathe life into an idea. And once you breathe life into that idea, then be prepared and hold on. I had no plans for any of this, like no plans. This was not on my radar, right? My radar was to ride my horse as much as I could. That was my radar. But now, wow. So just be prepared. Once you start, be okay with the journey. If someone says, Shelly, let's rent a castle together, I'm like, well, okay, let's do it. Where's this castle? And that's really how Shelly rolls.
Yeah.
But always following, the next opportunity, and you just don't know where a yes will take you. So don't be afraid of them. Just embrace them as they come.
Wow. That's so inspiring, because I think so many people have that same story that come to them and they ignore it. So for you to share what it meant to you and what it's created, that should inspire people. It inspired me.
I hope so, and I hope that it helps you. And I just think people are incredible and they can do anything. So
yeah. So again, thank you for being a part of the series. So again, the storytelling, inspiring and empowering younger women around voice and visibility, and you've just created that change. So I'm very grateful for you being a part of the series.
You're welcome, and good luck everyone out there. It's been a pleasure spending time with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Shelly.